You're such an asshole.
Hello, children. We got a request, and like I said, I don't pay attention to the news, and then you guys drag me into paying attention to the news, and I got to pay attention to the news. Cappy would like a video response for your take regards the 1099K threshold change from 20,000 to 60,000. I'm sorry, to 600 from 20,000 to 600. Now, what I haven't read, I don't know, but you already got a report if you make $600 from any one client. And I'm sure most people don't do it because it's $600. And plus, with inflation, 10,000 is the new 600. But you kindly provided me an email here or an article here, but you're already supposed to report $600 in income. Now, if what they say is true, again, I don't pay attention to the news, and I strongly recommend you don't either. What they're saying is that banks or financial companies have to report every $600 transaction. Okay. See, and here's what's going to end up happening. The left cannot, to be parasitic is one thing, so you're essentially enslaving people. That's what parasitism is. It's a partial enslavery. You're going to live partially off of the labor of others. But if you're going to get so far up people's asses that they can't do work, there's not going to be any host to parasite off of here pretty soon. And it would be like, okay, you already got slaves and the slaves are out in the field. They're picking cotton or doing whatever. And you're like, ooh, I don't know if I want you to pick a cotton that way. Ooh, when you get up, you should start stepping with your left foot instead of your right foot. Like this psychopathic and now your slaves, even though they're enslaved, they can't produce as much whatever, cotton, cattle, whatever you have them enslaved for, because you're just getting in their way. So much that and this is not surprising coming from Biden, because Biden, I mean, you look at him, he's never worked a day in his life. I mean, I'm not saying that like as a phrase. I mean that literally. He's never worked a real job. These people have at least Grant Harris, she's kind of worked a job. She knows like what a schedule is. But all these people, man, they have no idea what it takes to run a business and how to produce things. And this is the drawback of coming from wealthy families. You're just a pretty worthless person, actually. So let's go through the article. This is from newsroom.com. PayPal. Oh, this is from PayPal itself. New U.S. tax reporting requirements. Your questions answered. How these new tax reporting changes may impact you when paying or accepting payments with PayPal and Venmo for goods and services. PayPal owns Venmo. A lot of people, I'm going to Venmo, screw PayPal. It's PayPal. How long is this? Oh, it's not too long. All right. A lot of it we can skip. Recently, there have been some questions regarding changes to upcoming U.S. tax reporting requirements that could impact the information PayPal shares with the Internal Revenue Service about transactions made using PayPal and Venmo for the sale of goods and services. While a lot of questions still need to be answered, because they haven't told you guys yet, and in some instances, legal legislation finalized to sign into law, we've answered some of the most pressing questions below, and we'll be sure to keep this list updated as more details are finalized. Question, will I have to pay taxes when sending and receiving money on PayPal and Venmo? What exactly is changing? To answer this, we need to break it into two specific areas which are currently being discussed by Congress. So, can you just I'm done. I'm leaving. Done. Done. This includes lowering the reporting thresholds of goods and services transactions on 1099K, as well as potential changes to how financial institutions report inflows and outflows of money to customers' accounts. Here's a quick summary of both. This isn't going to affect me because when I do my taxes, not to bore you guys, see, I was no dummy. For a while there, I don't believe PayPal was giving you any kind of 1099 statement or reporting it to the government. And I'm like, well, if I ever get audited, they're going to want to know where this money's coming from. So I always declared it. So this really isn't going to change me. You know who it's going to piss off? It's going to piss off your webcam girls or your not seeking arrangement, the friends only girls, because now they're going to be forced to pay. I guess that's a silver lining. I guess I'm a libertarian. I prefer it not, but no. Here's a quick summary of both. The 1099K threshold change. This new threshold change is currently for only payments received for goods and services transactions. So this doesn't include things like paying your family or friends back, using PayPal or Venmo for dinner, gifts, and shared trips. This change was introduced in the American Rescue Plan. It has nothing to do with rescuing the American public. Of 2021, which amended some sections of the Internal Revenue Code to require third-party settlement organizations like PayPal and Venmo to report goods and services transactions made by customers with $600 or more in annual gross sales. That, I don't know why that wasn't before, to be perfectly honest. That was, you're supposed to always get a 1099. I think they're just catching up to the modern day economy where people have been making internet money. Currently, a 1099K is only required when a user receives more than 20,000 in goods and services and transactions, more than 200 goods and service transactions in a calendar year. Inflow, outflow, reporting charges. Okay. The proposed change would ultimately require all banks and payment service providers, including PayPal and Venmo, to report total inflows and outflows for accounts with at least $10,000 of total deposits and or withdrawals to the IRS. So, I mean, that's going to be the compliance costs on banks and payment service providers. Inflow and outflows of accounts with at least $10,000 of total deposits and or withdrawals to the United States. Okay, so you make a $10,000 deposit. I don't know if that's a one-time deal or whatever. This is intended to increase the visibility the IRS has into money coming in and out of customer accounts. So I think that's, if I read that correctly, it's not like a transaction is $10,000. Do you have a deposit of $10,000? Do you have $10,000 balance? At this stage, unlike the 1099K threshold change, this is just a proposal and the details are still up for debate. As the situation changes, we'll be sure to keep this updated as we learn more. All this would go away if we had a sales tax. It would all go away. Will the uploaded 1099K threshold change apply if I sell personal property like a couch or an item in a garage, $600, blah, blah. Will I be issued a Form 1099? Form 1099K is an IRS informational tax form that is used to report goods and service payments received by business or individuals in the calendar year, while banks and payment service providers like PayPal and Venmo are required by the IRS to send customers a Form 1099K if they meet the $600 threshold amount. There are certain amounts that may be included on the form that generally excluded from gross income, but therefore not subject to income tax. Selling items, unless it's your business, I think then, if you're an eBay trader, gifts, reimbursement. So for example, if you purchased a house for $1,200 and sold it for $800, this amount would not be subject to income tax. Tax professionals. What is goods and services payment? Is 1099K threshold change specific to payment? No. Industry word. That may not use this out. One of these changes come into effect. The K99 change will take effect January 1st, 2022. PayPal and Venmo are required to provide customers with a 1099K form if they receive 600 or more in goods, services, transactions 2022 year. This means you will be needed to take into account the threshold change. Blah, blah, boo, 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 boo. The inflow-outflow change has not been considered by Congress yet and therefore doesn't have an effective date. What is 1099K? So basically, your finance companies are going to have to bear all the costs of this. Now, they'll pass it on because now they get to spend more on labor to report all these transactions to the government. I'm fine. Most of these employees are Democrats and leftists anyways. You all keep voting this in. That's fine. I don't care. Because it's not going to require me to do anything else. I pay very little as it is right now to the banks anyway. I mean, for as a producer who uses PayPal as your payments processor, they may take like 4 or 5% now instead of the 2.75%. Guess what I'm going to do? I guess I just pass that on to the customers, huh? Boo-da-boo, boo-da-boo, boo-da-boo. These are all questions that PayPal forecasted stupid people would be asking. Oh, it was passed by Congress. All right, All right, so it's going to happen. In the coming months, we may ask you to provide tax information like your employer identification number, individual tax ID number, social security number if you haven't, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it's no different than what I'm used to because I've been self-employed for so long. I've always had to declare, $600 or more. I've always gotten a 1099. It's just what's really going to happen is we're just burdening our financial industry, our payment processing industry, with added compliance costs. And that's fine. You banks keep getting bailed out. PayPal went woke, y'all. That's fine. I don't care anymore. It's not going to really affect me. I know that's an incredibly selfish sounding thing, but I don't. It doesn't affect me. No, what do I care? I mean, at one time I did care how it would affect society. And I don't care anymore. If for any other reason, mental health reasons, so I don't get angry. Okay? And I get to go to anger management later on today. I'm managing my anger. Look how well it's controlled now. It's not randomly attacking people like a pit bull, even though those people usually are in desperate need of punishment. All right, any super chats here? Wow, Sam, $20. What happened, Sam? Thank you very much. Cappy, have you seen the docudrama Becoming Bond? It's about a man who gave the middle finger to the 007 franchise that made a fortune in real estate. He was Sterling Cooper before Sterling Cooper. I'm confused. Well, let's look it up. You spent $20. No, I haven't seen it to answer your question. Becoming Bond. 2017. Becoming Bond. Okay. 2017 American documentary drama film. Okay. Well, then it's not a documentary, is it? How can it be drama? That is fiction. That explores the early life and casting of Australian actor George Lazenby as James Bond in the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. His eventual decision to leave the role and the effect it all had on his career and the rest of his life. The film employs the use of reenacted dramatizations of Lazenby's life interspersed with actual interview footage of him. The film was written, blah, blah, blah. All right, so what's the general plot? The story itself is told through the interview with George Lazenby, with cutscenes and reenactments where the actors lip sync or do voiceover Lazenby's dialogue. Lazenby describes his birth at risk infant house, humiliation at being the only student to fail in his school grade, graduation without receiving a certificate, impacted on him to never fail at anything again. After getting a job as a car mechanic, he noticed that the car salesman seemed to have much more glamorous life. So he convinced the dealership manager to let him try his hand at sales. After failing to sell cars, he attended a course from the popular How to Win Friends and Influence People Symposium, where the only lesson he recalls learning is listen first and let the other person do the talking. Very wise. Pretty soon he was successful at the job, and the key contact for embassy staff vehicle transaction was what brought him into contact with daughter of an Australian politician. When she moved to London, he followed as a steerage passenger, hoping to win her heart. This sounds like Adam Piggott, another Australian. Upon his arrival, he discovered she abandoned him in the pursuit of a player on the Oxford University cricket team. This sounds great. This is Piggott. Fearing he had once again failed in life, his attempts to charm her set him on a path that would land him the role of one of the smoothest leading male characters in history, James Bond, who always gets the girl in the end. The Bond film, entitled On Her Majesty's Secret Service, was released December 1969 to steady acclaim, box office record sales. It said Lazenby in the path Hollywood was. Unfortunately, being James Bond meant surrendering his own sense of self, and he walked away from the fame and fortune that would have come with the role after On His Majesty's Secret Service. His one and only Bond in the franchise, following a dwindling in his film career, Lazenby settled back to Australia, became a realtor, married, raised a family, and led a happy, normal life. In retrospect, Lazenby in the present day has found his peace in everything he did before and after Bond. Additionally, Lazenby was given much acclaim in modern times for his role as James Bond and held in high regard considering finance and blah, blah, blah. So, what was the... Sterling Cooper. But Sterling Cooper didn't make a fortune in real estate. Sterling Cooper is a porn star who I love like a brother. I mean, I enjoy his company. Yeah, we could kick him in the nuts. I guess, but yeah, no, maybe I would watch it. DJ Aftershock $2 was a construction worker during college. No excuses. Yes, I'm just trying to remember what the topic was. Okay. Did you get 1099s all the time? All right, that's it. Okay, questions, answers. AssholeConsulting.com. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.